Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Lil Dudes Insect Academy podcast. I am super stoked to be here with a new guest, Erik. I'm super excited about today. We're back at it, and I cannot wait to get to know you, Erik. So, how about Erik? How about you go ahead and introduce yourself to the viewers back at home?
Hello, everybody. My name's Erik Ostrum. I guess what I can say is I'm an entomologist. So, been studying insects my whole life. They've all I've ever done, and that's pretty much all I continue want to do moving forward.
Amazing. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Give us a little brief overview of what you're currently working on and a little bit of what you've done in the past, sort of with your projects, and we'll get into your schooling in a minute, but some of the things you're passionate in.
So, currently, I am in the more on the husbandry side of things. So, I work at an insect farm right now where we raise uh, actually millions of insects, ranging from crickets, hornworms, mealworms, and roaches to supply to all the major pet store chains for pet food.
Very interesting. So you work with raising and breeding these, and these are all for feeding, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So crickets and mealworms. That's awesome. Okay, so how has your entomology skills kind of come into play? Like, how is that used in that position?
In that place, it's more based around like comfortability, working around all and pretty much being covered with insects all day.
Yeah.
Because my main area that I'm in is the roaches. So I work with dubia roaches for the most part. And we have dozens and dozens of roach colonies. And so I'm constantly covered and being crawled on with the babies.
That's awesome.
You're always crawling everywhere. So just having that familiarity and like being okay actually working like up close and personal like that, I think is the main part for that type of
Mm.
uh job. And just like knowing like basic life history and life cycle information on the insects and stuff helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How long have you been there for?
I have been there for almost 3 years.
Oh, very cool. Okay, yeah. So going into your entomology experience, where did you go to school? How did you originally get interested in this field?
I first wanted to become an entomologist when I was 5. Started off raising caterpillars, walking around my grandparents' dirt road, finding monarch caterpillars on the side and getting them off and taking them back before the ditch mowers went through and got them. And basically just started that way. I got up to raising hundreds of caterpillars a year.
Hmm.
And probably, from my count, successfully raised probably over 25 different species of butterflies and moths. So that was a big part of where it started.
Wow.
And then I got more into like collecting, taxonomy, identification stuff as like more later in the game since like 2010. And so since then, it's been more collecting and that type of stuff.
Hmm.
So for school, I went to and graduated from University of Wisconsin Stout, where I majored in environmental science and land management.
Nice.
And while I was there, I one of my first jobs actually was the entomology assistant there. So I was able to play around with the small university collection they had. It wasn't very big, but
Yeah.
still plenty of stuff for me to do.
Mhm.
And then every single job since college has been as an entomologist.
Nice. Very cool. Okay, so you've done it all. Husbandry, taxonomy, collecting, curating. Very cool. What
Mhm.
were some of the projects you did at school at Wisconsin?
One of the things it was actually a project for one of my GIS classes, kind of showing like mapping out examples of like collecting bias using the grasshoppers and the school collection.
Mhm.
As a couple of the entomology people there were like grasshopper people. So their studies filled up the collection with grasshoppers. So I just took the collecting locations and mapped them out on like making GIS map and stuff
Mhm.
and showing the collecting bias of like showing most of the collecting samples were in like more populated areas or where like colleges are and all that stuff, and showing the lack of samples and collections from more rural locations, which add to, should I say, lack of distribution information of species.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay. So you said you got originally interested in insects when you were 5.
Yep.
Do you like for me, same story with me, but do you like do you, do you know why you originally got interested, or were you just always into it?
I really have no clue. I
Yeah.
think it just happened like more organically. Like I was like, that's really cool. I want to try and raise another one, or I want to try to find a different caterpillar and see what that turns into.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once I started that and actually like looking for stuff, I found more stuff. And once you start looking for something, you see other ones you didn't know were there.
Yeah.
And it pretty much just goes downhill into a big spiral of ever growing curiosity.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you have any animals like personally in your collection, live animals? Like, do you have any pets like that, or is it
Um,
just for your job right now?
right now, for just a job, I used to have lots of scorpions and tarantulas and stuff when I lived back in Colorado. Um, but I unfortunately had to like rehouse and sell most of them because there's too many for them to move with
Yeah.
and going moving into a smaller place. So, but yeah, I used to have lots and lots of arachnids and insects as pets.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so moving on, how like who do you kind of look up to is in your journey? Kind of maybe a professor that you looked up to, or maybe just people in life or in science in general. Like, who is your inspiration?
Well, starting out, I really didn't have much of an inspiration. It was just more curiosity and just like family that supported me along the way.
Yeah.
But once I actually got into it and like, especially when I started getting into like the field guides and everything,
Hmm.
those are the people I was like, man, I wish I can knew all this stuff that they know or go that. Um, so like the main field guides I liked were butterflies. So I started out with like butterflies and moths. So Paul Oppler, who's like a butterfly moth expert, he's wrote many field guides and stuff. I was able to meet him because he was at Colorado State when I was in Fort Collins. So I was able to meet him a couple of times when I went into the collection in there when I volunteered there.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was able to meet him, and some of his stories were really amazing. Another one person that I would consider later on, um, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Kaufman Field Guide to Insects in North America.
Yeah, I think so.
It's by
Yeah.
Eric Eaton. I'd consider him probably another one I look up to. And he was in Colorado when I was there, and so was able to become friends with him as well, doing bio blitzes and stuff with him. So meeting him kind of left me kind of starstruck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was a really awesome person to get to know and stuff, and I'm lucky to call him a friend now. So it was cool just to meet like those people like I've read on covers and authors of like the books I've read and looked at for years, and
Right.
just to finally be able to meet them in person was pretty awesome.
That's really awesome. Yeah. Have you gone on any like fun trips to collecting, or like have you gone into any tropical areas or
Um, yeah, so for my last job, I was able to travel around the US, different states. So I did a lot of work in Florida and Texas. So every time I went there, I was able to do collecting like new places down there and get some really awesome stuff. This past winter, I went to Costa Rica, but I went there for more birding and photography and not really didn't do any collecting there because they're a little bit more stingy on collecting and all that stuff. But that was some of the insects down there that I saw were insane.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, down there I was actually able to see my first wild species of blue morpho, so that was really awesome.
For sure.
And this past month, I actually went on a collecting trip to Vancouver Island in British Columbia.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of another photographer I'm friends with on all my insect groups and Instagram and everything invited me out there. So
Mhm.
went out there and he took me to all the spots and found some amazing things. Collected a bot fly, collected and seen a pine white for the very first time. So that was really awesome. And just, it was just a really fun experience going out to a different country and actually collecting stuff. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah, so moving on to the next kind of topic is like other than entomology and husbandry and collecting, what are some other hobbies that you enjoy? They may or may not be related to entomology. It kind of seems to sneak its way into a lot of our other hobbies, but what are some other hobbies that you like to enjoy in your spare time?
I'm a big golfer,
Oh, nice.
both regular golf and disc golf. Just came back from a trip to Chicago for golfing some of the more pro courses down there. So that was really fun.
Nice.
So yeah, and I disc golf a lot as well. I don't know if it's considered a hobby, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
So the amount of that I'm into Star Wars, I consider it a hobby, but
yeah.
like I do all the collecting the action figures, the Funko Pops, Lego sets,
Nice.
watch all the Star Wars media multiple times. So
Nice. So let's go off of that a little bit. What's your list of the um originals, sequels, and prequels? Like where do those rank for you?
well, my favorite one is Revenge of the Sith.
Nice. Yes.
That just I don't know why. I just love that movie the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Return of the Jedi is probably the second one.
Yeah.
Uh, then followed by the New Hope, and then the Empire Strikes Back,
Yeah.
and then the Phantom Menace, which I didn't like the Phantom Menace growing up, but now I watch it as an adult. It's like that's a super underappreciated film.
Yeah. It's kind of hated on, yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, and then the sequels are the sequels.
Yeah.
Although to be honest, the Force Awakens it was obviously the best one of the sequels,
Yeah.
and that's the only one of the sequels I actually rewatch a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't mind the Force Awakens, but
Hmm.
the other two are.
Yeah. I'm the same way. The sequels are like,
I mean, yeah. On one hand, it's like, but then there's like, it's Star Wars, and I love Star Wars,
yeah,
so it's the love hate relationship with those ones.
very cool. Yeah. And you've kind of always been into that since they came out, or
I actually started off as a more of a huge Trekkie,
oh, really? Okay.
yeah, then more into Star Wars, but
Converted.
yeah. Don't get me wrong, I still love all the Star Treks and still watch them all the time.
Hmm. Very, very fun.
Yeah.
All right, so golfing, Star Wars, anything else? You think we covered all that?
Uh, Hunting, fishing when I can. Yeah. Honestly, nothing too exciting for most people, I guess.
Very
But
cool.
it takes up my time, so I'm content with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so moving on, let's what are some of your aspirations and goals for the future? Where do you want to take your entomology journey from, moving forward?
I kind of want to, well, I have aspirations to write field guides, kind of more regional field guides for my area, so Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, I want to like do more regional field guides on those with updated checklists and all that type of stuff for the grasshoppers, especially, and ants.
Mhm.
And obviously, one of my big goals is to find a potentially undescribed new species,
Yeah,
which what entomologist doesn't want that as a goal?
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, been slowly but surely been revamping my collection, getting it like organized and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I just really want a personal goal is to like greatly expand, double, triple my collection in the next multiple years. Because to be honest, I kind of want to be one of the better large private insect collections in the U.S.
Yeah. How large estimated is your collection at the moment?
Not counting all the vials I have on my counters and freezers to go through,
Yeah.
over 25,000 specimens.
Wow. Yeah. That's quite a bit for a personal collection, for sure.
It might be a long stretch, but I want to hit at least 100,000 within the next 5 years.
Wow.
Doing well, yeah, that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of time and commitment,
hmm
but I think it'll be worth it. And the amount of information, private collections in general from people for like just in the world of entomology is to me is priceless. So
Yeah,
anything I collect, I think will have a good contribution to further knowledge on species and stuff.
for sure. Yeah. What are you doing for your like boxes and supplies now since BioEquip is gone? You making them yourself yet or
Kind of doing some makeshift stuff. Luckily, I still have some room in some of my Cornell drawers
hmm
and some room in some of my Whitefield boxes.
Yeah,
Um, One of the makeshift things I use is that actually has been working very well for me. Probably won't work at some places because of pest or humidity stuff, but they've worked well for me. Is I get the flat, I think they're 28 quart tubs from Walmart,
okay.
and get one of their big styrofoam things from the craft section,
Hmm.
and I just use that as temporary storage for like when I'm like sorting stuff or putting a specific group out that I'm going to go through. So it's cheap. It works for me. They're stackable. And I've really had no problems using those as temporary storage to moving stuff around and stuff. So
Very good.
yeah, BioQuick closing, quite frankly, kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are still other places and places coming up going to fill the gap, hopefully. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's enough of a demand. I think someone's going to step up and start doing a similar thing. Uh,
yeah, because there's a place up right now you can get stuff, and then there's another company that's coming up, Pennant Entomology.
yeah,
I don't think their site's gone live yet.
I don't
Um,
think so.
I've
Yeah,
been waiting for it because that's one of the ones I really want to check out. So hopefully they'll be up soon and get back to business, getting more storage.
yes. Yes, we'll be looking forward to that. We miss them for sure. They really were like a big help in the field for sure. Okay, yeah. So was there anything else that you want to talk about, the things that you've worked on or any more education that you've gone through that you wanted to highlight before we wrapped it up or
I guess I can talk about a couple like things I've done in my past jobs if you want.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
So yeah, right out of college after graduating, I went and worked 6 months in Arkansas for the University of Arkansas,
Oh, very cool.
helping a master's student. And his project that I helped him with, we slogged through the wetlands and mosquitoes and humidity in
Mm,
eastern Arkansas, um, setting up bull traps and looking at wild bee diversity in the various wetlands over there.
mm,
And that was a exhausting, fun, rewarding experience. And the stuff we got out of it was crazy.
mm.
I can't. I'm gonna make up a couple numbers. It's gonna be close because I can't remember the exact number offhand.
Yeah.
But from that study, there were 36 new state records, bee species. I think it was 36. Mostly, and that was just because of undersampling in that general area.
Mm,
So the number of new species not recorded before was just crazy. So on top of like the new state records,
mhm,
there's even more new county records, which expanded the range in the county, in the state, and everything, and all that
mm.
type of stuff. So
Wow.
that's so a lot of stuff came out of that study, which was
Impressive.
insane.
Yeah.
Which kind of just shows even in this day how undersampled a lot of areas are.
Yeah. There's still a whole lot more. Yeah.
Then after that, I actually worked as a contract research entomologist at the CDC.
Oh, okay.
So there I primarily worked on mosquitoes.
Mm, hmm.
So I went on the field. That's where I traveled to different states and stuff.
That's cool.
And my main thing was actually identification. So I get sent mosquitoes from all over the world,
Yeah.
the Pacific Islands, Asia, Africa. I get sent those and I go through and identify them.
Hmm.
And then they get sent off for testing for viruses and all that type of stuff. That was definitely a challenging job, especially when we were out in the field.
Right. How long were you there for at the CDC?
I was there, geez, almost, that'd be almost 4 years.
Hmm.
No, yeah, almost 4 years.
Nice.
And I honestly wish I was still there, but I mean, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Just the different species I got to see from the world, they were gorgeous.
Yeah.
And just going out in the field doing field work and doing all that stuff and publishing and writing papers and everything was,
Hmm.
couldn't really ask for anything more.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've been a little bit everywhere, done a little bit of everything so far.
Yeah. Sounds like a jack of all trades for sure.
And now I even do classes. So I once or twice a month now I teach a handful of kids from Japan over Zoom who are interested in insects. So I do classes with them and just talk to them about insects and everything, and just go through different facts and just try and teach them what I know and everything.
Hmm. That's awesome.
And
And how did
then
you start doing that? Where did that come from?
I just got contacted on Instagram actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So far, any of the extra stuff I do these days, I get contacted through Instagram to do. I was like, okay.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
So that's been a really fun, and hearing them tell their stories on the insects they keep as pets and
Yeah.
like the stuff they see is pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I bet in Japan. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so Eric, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here in a minute. But before we go, is there anywhere that the viewers can go to meet you, like Instagram or Facebook or like social media, is there anywhere they can go? And I can also leave the links in the description in the show notes of the episode, but where can we find you?
So I am on Facebook. I don't post a lot on there. My main places I post are on Instagram at Daily Entomologist.
Okay.
And then I also post regularly on the Daily Entomologist YouTube as well, which the last few videos I actually posted were from my trip to Vancouver Island. So
So
both
YouTube,
both are
like videos of what you've been up to, or
yep, the YouTube is pretty much or it pretty much is all insets, either just updates, me working on my private collection or out in the field collecting.
very cool.
So yeah, and just like I have like pinning tutorials, making a collection, all that. I have all those types of videos on there. And then yeah, most videos it's either working on an updates on my collection, showing what I caught, or when just showing out in the field when I'm out collecting, just showing all that type of stuff as well. So
Very, very cool. Alrighty. I will also leave all the links to those things down in the description for you guys to go check out. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Eric. It was really great to meet you and talk with you. Yeah, this was really fun.
yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you.